The marriage contract was older than the war, older than the empire, and older than the stars their civilization now ruled. Princess Lyri of the Aurelian Dominion had always known this, at least in theory. She just never believed it would matter. From the balcony of the Crystal Spire, Lyri watched the funeral pyres drift into orbit, glowing like fallen suns against the dark. The war with the Karvax swarm had finally ended, but victory tasted like ash. Half the Dominion fleet lay in ruins, entire border worlds burned, and her father, the Emperor, had been carried from the throne room on a grave slab, his life sustained only by machines and fading hope. Lyri clenched her hands against the railing. As firstborn daughter, she had been trained to rule, to command, to inspire. She had studied diplomacy, strategy, and ancient law. But nothing had prepared her for what the oracle revealed that morning. "You are already married." The words still echoed in her mind. "That's impossible," she had argued. "I have never taken a mate." The oracle's many eyes had closed in unison. "Your bond was sealed by blood and oath," it replied. "On a battlefield not of this empire. By a species you once dismissed as insignificant. A human." Now, as the Dominion prepared for a final ceremonial assembly to honor the war's heroes, Lyri's disbelief warred with unease. The oracle had named him a human warrior, a soldier whose actions had altered the course of the war itself. His name was Captain Elias Ward. Elias Ward stood uncomfortably at the edge of the Grand Hall, hands clasped behind his back, wearing a formal uniform that still felt wrong on his shoulders. He preferred combat armor. At least armor made sense. This place didn't. The Crystal Spire was a monument to alien elegance, arched light structures, living crystal columns, and nobles of a dozen species adorned in silks and ceremonial plating. Elias felt like a relic from a simpler, dirtier war. He hadn't come here for recognition. He certainly hadn't come for royalty. "Captain Ward," a translator drone chirped softly, "you are requested at the central dais." Elias frowned. "By who?" "The princess." That got his attention. He'd seen her once before, only briefly, during the evacuation of Calith Prime. Aurelian royalty rarely set foot near front lines, but the Karvax swarm had broken through faster than expected. Chaos had followed. Fire. Screams. Falling skies. And a moment Elias would never forget. The Karvax biotitans had breached the palace perimeter, their acidic artillery raining death. Elias and his unit were extracting survivors when the spire collapsed inward. Through smoke and flame, he saw her trapped beneath fallen crystal, unconscious, moments from being buried alive. Protocol screamed, "Leave her." Human instinct said, "Don't you dare." Elias had cut through debris with his plasma blade, ignoring the burns, the collapsing ceiling, the enemy fire. He lifted her, lighter than he expected, and shielded her body with his own as an explosion tore through the chamber. He remembered pain. Then darkness. When he woke in a medbay days later, they told him the princess had survived. That was enough. Now she stood before him again, very much alive. Princess Lyri descended the dais, her presence silencing the hall. Her bioluminescent eyes fixed on Elias with an intensity that made even seasoned generals uneasy. "You," she said. "Yes, Your Highness," Elias replied, bowing slightly. "You saved me on Calith Prime." "Yes, A murmur rippled through the nobles. "You carried me through fire," she continued. You bled so I would live. I did my job. Her gaze hardened. No. You fulfilled an oath you did not know you carried. She raised her hand. Ancient symbols flared to life in the air between them, golden, complex, and old. Gasps filled the hall. Elias stared. Ah, what am I looking at? Lyri's voice trembled, not with fear, but shock. The covenant of bound stars, she said. An ancient pact forged when the Aurelians first reached the stars. A vow made with a warrior species long extinct. Extinct? Elias echoed. So we believed, she replied, eyes never leaving his. The pact states that if an outsider warrior sheds blood to save the life of the imperial heir, without coercion or reward, the bond of protector becomes a bond of union. The hall erupted. Elias took a step back. Wait, union as in marriage, Lyri said quietly. Silence crashed down harder than any explosion. Elias ran a hand through his hair. Princess, with all due respect, I never agreed to. You did, she interrupted. By action. By sacrifice. By choosing my life over your own. Her voice softened. The pact does not bind by consent. It binds by honor. Elias swallowed. That seems unfair. Perhaps, she admitted. Yet it is law older than my throne. She studied him not as a ruler, but as a woman seeing the truth for the first time. You are my husband, Lyri said. And I did not even know your face. The days that followed shook the Dominion. Some nobles protested. Others demanded the pact be broken. The oracle was consulted again. Its answer never changed. The bond is valid. Elias, for his part, was overwhelmed. He wasn't a diplomat. He wasn't royalty. He was a soldier who believed in getting people home alive. But he saw something else too. He saw how Lyri listened to her people. How she grieved the fallen. How she bore the weight of an empire alone. And Lyri saw him not as a symbol, but as a man. One who challenged her, argued honestly, and treated her not as untouchable royalty but as a fellow survivor of war. When an assassination attempt struck during a council session, Elias reacted without thinking, putting himself between Lyri and the blade, disarming the attacker in seconds. Later, as medics treated a shallow cut on his arm, Lyri's hands trembled. You did it again, she whispered. Did what? Chose me, she said. Without hesitation. He met her eyes. That's what humans do. The marriage ceremony was nothing like the ancient texts described. There were no chains. No forced vows. Instead, Lyri stood before the Dominion and made a declaration. This bond was forged by sacrifice, she said. But it will be sustained by choice. Captain Elias Ward has been given the right to refuse. All eyes turned to him. Elias took a breath. I didn't ask for a crown, he said. I didn't ask for this bond. But I won't run from it either. He looked at Lyri. I'll stand with you not because of an ancient law, he said, but because I believe in the future you're fighting for. Her eyes shone. The hall erupted not in protest, but in awe. Years later, historians would argue about the moment humanity truly joined the galactic stage. Some would say it was the war. Others would say it was the pact. But Lyri knew the truth. It was the day she learned that the strongest bond in the universe was not written in law or blood, but forged when a human warrior chose to protect someone, even at the cost of everything. And chose to stay.